Joining us on Houston Sports Talk, right at the Astros Caravan, we have catcher Max Stassi. And Max, been a fun ride for you. You had a cup of coffee in 2013. How do you feel about kind of where you are right now? How your progress is going towards the majors?
I feel really good. Getting called up the end of last year and getting a few more games under my belt. Was huge. And going into spring training, I feel great. I'm gonna go out and compete, and that's about it. Go out, have fun. Like I said, compete, play hard, and the things will take care of themselves.
Well, you were traded over here with Chris Carter. Do you guys have a kind of a special relationship just because you were involved in the same deal? How does that work when you're involved in the same trade?
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy game. Chris Carter and I, we go way back. We've only played together in the big leagues here with the Astros, but I've known him ever since I was 18, and my first spring training with the A's. He's been at every spring training that I've been at. The only guy that's been like that in my career. So it's been pretty cool. I can always talk to him and ask him questions, and he's been a big help.
Jed Lowrie is now back with the Astros. He was part of that deal. How strange is that?
Yeah, I haven't met him yet, but it'll be pretty cool to be like, hey, I'm the guy that was, that little guy that got thrown in for the package to get you sent over to Oakland, So, yeah, it'll be fun. He's a great player, and, watching him play last year in Oakland, he's going to be a huge addition to our club.
Astros have made a lot of deals this offseason, really adding some veteran guys and some guys with some power, good relief pitching. As far as, the Astros organization, does it just energize the whole organization as a guy that's trying to get up to the majors, that the improvement that you're seeing and then adding these type of players?
Absolutely, yeah. It's very exciting. Going into this year, with the guys, the Rasmus, the Gaddis, all the guys with Altuve returning, you got Castro, all these guys that are in there with the energy in this lineup, Springer, Singleton, and it's going to be a very, very exciting year for us. We're seeing with a lot of power, and like I said, it's going to be exciting.
GM Jeff Luna making some deals for some catchers. How do you feel about that as a catcher? What does that do? You're like, I'm fighting for a spot too. Is it good to see them adding the talent, or you kind of wish that they would look at some other positions?
No, it's part of the business. That's what comes with the territory of being a professional baseball player. And like I said, I'm just going out there and compete against the game. That's all I can control. And I'm just going to learn from those guys too. I'm going to be the best teammate I can be. And that's really it. You have no control over situations like that. So make the most of what you can control.
Well, the family business for you is baseball. Your father and grandfather and great-grandfather, do I have that all correct? They were all minor league catchers?
Yeah, yep, that's correct. My great-great-uncle was Merle Hogue. He played for the Yankees from 28 to 42 or something like that, somewhere in there. He made one All-Star appearance.
Yeah, remind the people who he was playing alongside when he was playing for the Yankees.
Yeah, he was alongside Babe Ruth. Yeah, I think you guys might have heard of him before.
Yeah, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. He came in right around that time of Murderers Row in the late 20s and early 30s. What is it like to be part of that and in your family? And how do you try to live up to the expectation? Do you feel like there's expectations as just kind of being a part of all that?
I don't feel like there's really any expectations, The only expectations I have are the ones that I set for myself. And, my family's very supportive of what I do, whether I wanted to play baseball or not. They wouldn't really care. So it's just kind of a family tradition, I guess you could say. But like I said, I reiterate that my dad, he never pushed us to, play baseball or, forced us to do anything. So, they support me in whatever I do.
What's the best advice that you've had from your family, your dad or your grandfather, about playing baseball, trying to get to the majors?
Just go out and have fun. It's still the same game. Even in the major league level, the bases are still 90 feet. The pitching rubber 60 feet 6 inches away, and keep the game simple and go out there and have fun. It's go out there like you're playing wiffle ball with your buddies. There's so many different things that guys get caught up in this game that are out of your control, or you're overthinking certain situations. That just get back to playing wiffle ball like you were in the backyard at ages 8 through 12.
You've spent the offseason in Sacramento. What all have you been doing this offseason, and what have you been kind of working on?
I've been working out quite a bit, working on my speed, my strength, flexibility. All those things have improved. And just been golfing a little bit too. You know, my brother and I, we like to go out and golf, and he's a minor league first baseman with the Phillies. So we have the same schedules, and it's been good spending time with family and friends.
What does it feel like around this time of the year as spring training approaches? You get a little bit more excitement, a little butterflies as we get closer to February and March?
Absolutely, yeah. You start to get that itch to, get out there and compete again. It's right when the new year usually hits for me is when it switch on to baseball mode and get going, because you have that downtime, in November, December, that it's kind of pretty mellow and you start to throw a little bit and hit. But, I'm very excited to get out there.
Astros prospect Max Stassi, excited to see you get up to the major leagues, and we look forward to seeing you wearing an Astros uniform at some point.
Thank you very much. It was great being on here.
Joining us on Houston Sports Talk from the Astros Caravan is Chris Carter, and the Astros with a big offseason, bunch of additions, especially some power in the lineup. What did you think about as you were listening to all the reports about some of these guys coming in and maybe helping you out and adding some punch to the lineup?
It's nice to have those guys in the lineup like Gaddis and Rasmus. You just add protection in the lineup so guys don't get pitched around, and it's going to make it tough for pitchers to get through the lineup.
You guys have also added some pitching, some bullpen help. What about that excitement there as well, too?
Yeah, I think Gregerson and Neshek are two great additions to our bullpen through the back end of it. I know I faced Gregerson with Oakland and Neshek when he was there, but he was in St. Louis last year. But I think those two guys would help tremendously with Chad Qualls and, guys like Fields and Chapman and everybody else that we have out there.
What about your great season last year, especially that second half where you really took off? Tell me, what was the difference for you, do you feel like, from earlier in the season and some of the past seasons to making a little bit more contact and raising your average as well?
I think the biggest thing for me was, changing my approach as far as like my work in the cage. Like I started hitting more balls the other way in the cage and having more intent with my swings and not just swinging to swing anymore.
What about your off season? What have you been trying to work on? What are you doing as far as your off season? What do you feel like you need to do going into next year to improve your game?
I've just been working on what I finished the season with last year, and trying to continue that through the off season and hopefully start the season out strong this year.
The addition of A.J. Hinch, what does that mean for you guys? And have you had a chance to get to know him, talk to Coach Hinch yet?
I haven't had a chance to meet him in person. I talked to him on the phone a couple of times, and so that's pretty much as far as it's been so far. But I think I'll see him probably in the next couple of days, and we'll talk about it some more.
What do you do in the off season? What does Chris Carter do to keep busy? You said you were living in Las Vegas. What kind of things are you doing just for fun and just to get away from it all?
Right now, I'm in more like workout focus mode. This is like the last stretch of the off season. But early in the season, I went to Japan for the MLB All-Stars thing we had, and that was a lot of fun. I got to be out there for 10 days and go to a few places like Kyoto, Sapporo, Tokyo, Okinawa. So that was a real fun trip, and we're happy I got to go there.
What else do you like to do besides baseball? Give us a little bit of more about Chris Carter. What are your interests? What keeps you busy? Maybe when you're flying on the road trips, what stuff do you do as a hobby?
I love cars, so I do a lot of reading about cars, and like if we're on the road or traveling, or whatever, I'll look at whatever articles about new cars coming out or new technologies and this thing. So that's fascinating to me. And other than that, play a lot of video games sometimes with guys on the team, and kill some time when I'm not doing anything.
Jeff Luhnow said he feels like this team can make the next step and move above 500, maybe be competing for a wild card. How do you feel about where this team is at right now?
I think with the new additions to our team and the guys we already have, I think we'll be really good this year, and we'll be real competitive. And I think, it'll be anybody's division how things are going right now.
Chris Carter on the Astros Caravan. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Don't forget, you can now listen to Houston Sports Talk weekly on 106.1 FM Tuesdays at 5 p.m. And you can hear more of our interviews at HoustonSportsTalk.net. Subscribe for free to our podcast on iTunes or with the Stitcher app.